Welcome to the Fight IQ podcast. I'm back with another episode. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys, in my opinion, the next best matchups you can make off of the back of UFC Fight Night, Carlos Prates versus Ian Garry. Now, I'm not going to be choosing matchups for every fighter from the card. I have 9 fighters chosen to give their next matchups. Only one loser, that being Carlos Prates. The rest on this list are winners from this card. I'm not going to be going too much into breaking down what went down last night in the fights because I'm sure if you guys are watching this video, you already saw the fights and you're just interested in what could be next for all these guys. So I will be giving a little bit of breakdown on what happened in the fights, but not much. I'm not going to yap too hard. I'm just going to explain to you guys why I think these are the next best matchups for all these guys. Let's just start with Ian Garry, start from the top. I think he should face the winner of Joaquin Buckley and Kamaru Usman. I chose Joaquin Buckley for the image here because I do think he's going to get it done against Usman, and I think Ian Garry versus Joaquin Buckley is a much better matchup than Ian Garry versus Kamaru Usman. If Usman wins, I wouldn't necessarily pick him for the Garry fight. But if Joaquin Buckley wins, I definitely think this is the next fight you can make. At first, I was thinking, put Ian Garry up against Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is like the only guy really at the top of the division who doesn't have a next matchup. Obviously, he recently lost pretty badly to Sean Brady. Listen, I don't think Leon Edwards should be in any sort of number one contender fight or talking about, maybe 1 or 2 more wins and Leon fights for the title again. I don't think so. Leon, I think he's cooked. I don't think Leon is really... I think he's only going downhill from here. Let's just say that. And if just briefly to touch on Leon, what I think he should do, if you think, I think Ian Garry versus Leon Edwards is a good next matchup, Leon Edwards should be fighting the likes of Jorge Masvidal. If Jorge wants to make a return, I've seen rumors of that. Dude, they have so much past beef. Just do Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal. Leon Edwards his fall has begun, and I think that's why him versus Masvidal makes a lot of sense. But anyway, Joaquin Buckley, he's the next best matchup for Ian Garry. I do think he's going to get it done against Usman, so that's why I chose him. Let's move on to the next fighter who I chose from this card, and that is Carlos Prates. Again, I'm not going to touch on it too crazily. I think his takedown defense was a lot better than a lot of people thought it was going to be. I think his cardio was a lot better than people thought it was going to be. Rebook the Jeff Neal fight. I think Carlos Prates after this, his stock doesn't go down too much because Ian Garry was already at the top of the division, and this was number-wise a big step up for Carlos Prates. So I think you rebook the Jeff Neal fight. I think Carlos Prates needs to farm and harvest a little bit more aura so he can move forward and really be considered a good player in this division. So I think that's why you rebook the Jeff Neal fight. After seeing how Carlos Prates did against Ian Garry, I think he destroys Jeff Neal. So give Carlos Prates this fight, give Jeff Neal this fight, and let Carlos Prates let him recoup a little bit of his aura so we can talk about some actual good matchups for him in the future. But I think you need to get this fight done first. Next fighter from this card, Zhang Mingyang. Holy shit. This dude's the truth. I mean, it is pretty rare that you see at light heavyweight Muay Thai skill like this. His kicks were on point. His elbows were on point. His jabs were on point. This is exactly what you want to see in a prospect. And dude, he did what a lot of people couldn't do. He did what John Jones couldn't do. He did what Alexander Gustafsson couldn't do. Okay? He got Anthony Smith out of there in round 1. Okay? The Lionheart defense was no match for Ming Yang. He, like I said in the predictions, he fucking yanged all over that dude's Ming. And listen, he should only be jumping up, like he should be taking big steps up in the rankings is what I'm trying to say. This guy who I'm choosing him, who I'm matching him up against next, he's a veteran, but he lately has been doing a lot better than Anthony Smith. But he's kind of in that same boat where he's like a veteran of the division and he's fought all the best and blah, 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 blah. Volkan Ozdemir. He had a really good showing against Carlos Ulberg, taking him to decision. I thought he was boxing up Ulberg at certain points of that fight and doing really, really well. Volkan Ozdemir, he's been knocked out pretty bad in his career. So putting him up against a beast like Min Yang could be a little touch and go. But I think his chin has recovered. He took a lot of fights early in his career, but he's been taking more time in between fights, and I think it's helping his chin recoup, so he can get hit with those shots and not really go out like he used to. Zhang Mingyang versus Volkan Ozdemir. Book it. That's what I want to see. Next fighter from this card, David Onama. Look, he technically got the win. I see a lot of listen, I picked Giga to win. David Onama won that fight. I see a lot of people on Instagram and YouTube saying that they had it 2-1 for Giga based on damage. Round 1, yes. Round 1, Giga Chikadze won that round. Round 2, Onama controlled him. Giga Chikadze wasn't able to get off the damage in round 2 like he was able to do in round 1. David Onama had a ton of top control in round 2. And then round 3, again, kind of same deal. He got a little bit more damage done in round 3. I think round 3 was more clear for David Onama just because he had that top control, but he also kept the striking pretty even and was landing some decent ground and pound from top. The fight that I want to see next for him, the best we can do is Dan Ige, bro. Good job. You earned a Dan Ige fight. Listen, Onama won, but it wasn't that exciting. Dan Ige coming off a good win, early stoppage, I know, but he's coming off a good win. It's another top 15 fight for David Onama. I think this would be a banger, honestly. Dan Ige has great takedown defense. I don't think he's going to get, controlled like Giga did. That was kind of like, a hole in Giga Chikadze's game, and everyone kind of know it. He's a striker. Dan Ige, more well-rounded, another top 15 fight. Congrats. You got a Dan Ige fight. There you go. Next fighter from this card, Abus Magomedov. Not the most exciting, but pretty dominant. They both started to get, Michel Pereira gassed almost immediately. The fight started, Michel Pereira threw a couple feints and was gassed. Abus Magomedov didn't start to gas until late round 2, and then round 3 they were clearly both running out of energy. But good performance from Abus. I've picked him every single one of his UFC fights so far. Before the Strickland fight, I picked him to win too. I'm a big fan of Abus. I think he needs to work on his cardio, but other than that, he's extremely well-rounded. He's powerful. He's a good grappler. I like Abus, and I'm probably going to continue to pick him moving forward. And who I pick for Abus? Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen has not been doing the best lately. This is pretty much like Abus needs a jump up in the rankings. Middleweight is not extremely competitive at the moment. I think this is a good matchup. And to be honest with you, after I pick this, I'm looking at this, I don't really know who's going to win this fight. I could see a late finish for Brendan Allen, but if he doesn't get it done, I could see Abus winning by decision. I think this is a really, really good fight to make. I'm not going to go on this too far because, Brendan Allen hasn't been doing too well. Abus Magomedov, kind of a lukewarm decision that he just got over Michel Pereira. This is the next fight that you do. Next fight, oh shit, I kind of just ruined that one. But that's all right. That's my last one. I got 4 more. I got 4 more picks for you guys. Next fighter from this card, Randy Brown. Really, really good performance. I was really, really hoping that he was going to knock out Nicholas Dalby, and he did. He broke his nose kind of immediately with a right hook, knuckles right to the nose. And then shortly after that, hit him again. I was like, oh my God, he's just battering that broken nose even further. Randy Brown's been in the UFC for a long time. He's had some good performances. He's had some bad performances. He's beat some good guys. He's also lost to some not so good guys. I think, he's not ranked. He just beat another unranked guy. He's asking for a ranked opponent next, and I'll give it to him. I think he deserves it. I think he does. But I don't think he deserves anyone who is like on a run, who's like, oh man, a couple more wins and this guy's going to be getting a number one contender fight or anything like that. I think you give him a really, really fun fight. Don't give him a grappler. Give him Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy doesn't need to be facing grapplers at this point in his career. He needs to be facing strikers that he's going to have fun fights with. Randy Brown needs to enter the top 15, and I think this is the fight for him. I think this will be a good gauge for Randy Brown of how good is his striking compared to the rest of the guys in the top 15. We know Randy Brown can fuck up most guys outside of the top 15 in the striking realm. This is a very fun fight to make. They've both been in the UFC for a long time. They haven't fought each other. Like I said, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson doesn't need to be fighting wrestlers at this point in his career, and Randy Brown needs to gauge how his striking is in the top 15. This, no further explanation needed. Moving down, next fighter from this card, Ikram Aliskerov. Thank goodness. Thank the Lord. Ikram Aliskerov is actually the real deal. I mean, listen, Andre Muniz is not the best fighter in the division, not the best fighter in the UFC. He's not very well-rounded. That we knew that Ikram was kind of going to destroy him. I thought this was a bit of a mismatch. The next fight that I want to see for Ikram Aliskerov, bring Jack Hermansson out of his bunker that he goes into every year after he fights. Call up Jack Hermansson, say, hey, it's okay. You can come above ground now. We have a matchup for you. Ikram Aliskerov is that matchup. Not much more to say. Ikram Aliskerov, get him up the rankings a little bit. Jack Hermansson is a nice, well-rounded fighter. He's dealt with good grapplers. He's dealt with good strikers. I think this is a really good matchup to make. Let's go a little bit faster as we're working down the card here. Next fighter from the card, Damon Blackshear. I don't know why the UFC website sucks, so sorry, you have to look at this Tapology. Although Tapology is a much better website than the UFC, the photos are better on the UFC website, so sorry you have to look at this shitty photo. The next fight that I want to see for Damon Blackshear after that really nice performance, Ricky Simon. Damon Blackshear, his striking looked much improved. Good performance from Damon Blackshear. Put him up against Ricky Simon, who's coming off of a nice win. A little bit of a vet performance. I know Damon Blackshear has already had fights with some high-level guys in the UFC, and it hasn't gone his way. Give him kind of like this intermediary where he's not fighting like a fucking, some guy that they just give to fighters when they want to get a win. Ricky Simon is a tough fighter, and he's kind of this intermediary where if Damon Blackshear beats Ricky Simon, now give him some higher level guys. Give him someone in the top 15. This is a really good fight. This is what I want to see next for Damon Blackshear. And the last fighter from this card that I'm picking his next matchup for, Malcolm Wellmaker. I called this one. We all called this one. Also, I gotta say, we've been doing really, really good on picks lately. I don't know if you've been watching our predictions. Whoever's watching this video, if you've been watching our predictions, but we've been doing pretty well. I personally went 11-3 on picks last night. Martin went 12-2. Andrew went 10-4. We all did pretty well. Malcolm Wellmaker knocks out Cameron Simon exactly like we thought he would. Martin called it perfectly that Cameron Simon was going to DDP style, just kind of lunge in with a strike, and Malcolm Wellmaker was going to counter him. That's exactly what happened. Malcolm Wellmaker, this guy popped up briefly a couple minutes ago in the video. Sorry for that. But Brady Hiestand, however you pronounce it. Brady Hiestand, he's good. He's a win-loss fighter since entering the UFC, but he is very good. He's aggressive, but he's pretty defensively sound, and he's well-rounded. Malcolm Wellmaker, there's a couple different guys that I was thinking about matching him up with. I was thinking, there's a couple vets that you could, a couple gritty vets you could give him. But that was his first fight in the UFC. And usually you're 3-4 fights in before you get that gritty vet matchup. Brady Hiestand, he's another young guy, kind of like Cameron Simon, but he's more well-rounded, and he's tougher and stronger. It's tough. When you got someone with the power of Wellmaker, he needs a nice strong guy, a nice youthful strong guy like Brady Hiestand to really give him a good test. And I think if he beats, you know, another young guy who's well-rounded, who unfortunately has been like win-loss like Cameron Simon has, I think this is just the perfect matchup. Cameron Simon is a good grappler, but he doesn't really have the strength to get it in the realm where he wants to be, where he's comfortable. Brady Hiestand is strong enough. I can see him taking down Malcolm Wellmaker having to overcome some adversity. This is the next fight you give for Malcolm Wellmaker. And if he puts away Brady Hiestand in dominant fashion, then just give him a gritty vet right away. And then we can run with that sort of program. Anyway, these are my next matchups. I think the best matchups you can make for these 9 fighters from UFC Fight Night, Garry versus Prates. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the fights. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Adios.
What fighter has the highest fight IQ?
I don't think there's nobody in the game that has the fight IQ that I have.
Off the charts.
His IQ
the
is
highest
insane.
fight IQ maybe ever.
This guy hits hard. He's tough. He's this, he's that. And this guy has a dream. But my fight IQ will win this fight.